This is called River Landscape by Moonlight, and it was done by a man named Aert Neer. Now what's interesting about him is that the history of what they call nocturnal painting goes back to the medieval times of the illuminations of biblical stories and so forth, and the manuscripts. And Netherland painting picked up on that, and there were names that you might be familiar with. Nocturnal painting has to do with the illumination of the night skies, where they might be painting the moon, they might be painting stars and so forth, rendering of light during a dark time. The name Hugo van der Goes, G-O-E-S, is a name that comes from the Dutch Netherland paintings that indicates that there was this interest revival in the Netherlands. In the 16th century, there were names like Peter Bruegel that also became interested in the nocturnal. And then in the early 17th century, there was a man named Elsheimer, E-L-S, Heimer, H-E-I-M-E-R, and he stimulated a new interest in this. It's sort of unusual to think about the fact that this was not something that people did. They didn't show nighttime scenes that they would highlight, you know, the moon and the atmosphere and so forth. This was something that was relatively new to painting, and it took place in the Netherlands. In 1630, Rubens is the name that we know, and he started painting night scenes. But if you look it up anywhere, it was van der Neer who perfected the Dutch nocturnes. This man, this little tiny painting, is an example of somebody who influenced art, and he's basically unheard of for the most part. And his earliest night scene was done in 1643. So Rubens had started to do it, but this man, van der Neer, he perfected it. He did about 300 paintings, and that's what they have records of right now. But I think the thing that attracted me to it was the fact that I had to get up close to look. And what is the one thing, no matter where you're standing, what is the one thing that you notice first about the painting? The moon. The moons. And that's right in the middle, and it brings you in. And when you come in and you look closely, you can see the rest of the things. There's a little house over here, there are figures here, and you can see the difference in the moonlight through the clouds. I want to read something about him that I think is really complimentary. The extraordinarily subtle use of layers and tints of color, the hue of burnt cork, brownish reds, slate grays, and a whole range of accents in black, rust, blue, and pink, creates a luminous atmosphere wetting earth and sky in an unprecedented nocturnal harmony. More than his Flemish predecessors, van der Neer reduced the local hues of objects to achieve a new coloristic unity. And I just found it so interesting that this is part of our Kress collection. Never in my whole time being a volunteer have I heard anybody talk about him. And he certainly, when you take a look around at other paintings in the Kress collection, and you start thinking about light, maybe you can think about him as being an influence. But certainly take a good look at this painting.
Sort of like the same